Smart contracts. Today in Crypto Insider, we're going to take a look at smart contracts. Before we get started, I probably want to put a few caveats in place. Firstly, I'm not a coder, so I haven't got access to all the intricate details of how smart contracts exactly works. And secondly, this is a high-level overview for beginners, so very much a simple explanation of what smart contracts are and how they work. So without further ado, let's get started. So when were smart contracts first mentioned? So there was a gentleman called Nick Szabo, who's a computer scientist, a legal scholar and cryptographer known for his research in digital currencies and digital contracts, who mentioned smart contracts way back in 1997. Now Nick Szabo is very interesting. Many people think that he is either Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, or that he's part of the group that labeled himself Satoshi Nakamoto. He has denied this on multiple occasions, but very much a very interesting background. And obviously with his computer scientist and legal background, you can see that there is a very good combination there when you look at digital contracts. So what are digital contracts? Digital contracts are pretty much exactly the same as physical contracts, only in a digital format. Now, where smart contracts get very interesting is what their real world applicability is and what they do. And so if you think about a normal contract, you would have an agreement. I agree to this and therefore you will do that. I think Nick Szabo originally described the vending machine as a smart contract. Here is something that I want, let's say a Snickers bar or a bottle of water. I put in my pound coin. I then choose B6, and the vending machine then agrees that once the pound is included and I make my selection, that they will release the goods, in this case the Snickers bar or the water bottle. And that very much was the sort of first description of how a smart contract at work. And it's interesting if we think about something online and where this works. So there is a company called Ifttt, or if this then that, and essentially if this then that is a digital service that puts specific triggers in place. So examples is if I write a tweet and I publish it, and I'm plugged into the Ifttt app, then they will automatically trigger that and share that on LinkedIn if I asked to do so. And so the vending machine again is a application of if this then that, if I do this then that. And this is really where the contracts, the physical contract has been translated into a smart contract, where you code and you say, if we agree to this, then we will do that. And so that is the essence of a smart contract. You agree to do something if certain conditions have been met, and once that trigger has been met, the smart contract will action that. I think this is incredibly exciting. I appreciate that at the moment with Ifttt and the way I'm describing that's a little bit abstract, but let's look at some real world applications of smart contracts. So one thing could be money in escrow. Let's say I am having building works done on my house. It's a very large amount. I don't want to pay the builder straight away, but actually at certain milestones I'm happy to release a certain amount of money. Rather than me doing that and trying to agree that with the builders, in this case with the construction workers, what we could do is we could put that onto a smart contract, and we could say once this milestone's been met and it's been signed off, the contract would automatically release the first set of payments. That gives me, as the homeowner or the contractee, the security that I won't pay a penny until we're happy and everyone signed it off. And the builders or the construction workers are happy because I put my money into this escrow service, all of it, and they know that I'm good for the money, and they know that they need to meet the milestones. You can look in other areas like banking and loans. If I've got this collateral, then the bank will release those loans. You can look at things like crowdfunding. Um, if all of these conditions have been met, we'll release the funds from this crowd. And again, there's multiple applications. Insurance is a very exciting one. I pay this amount of money, but if I have an accident and it's been externally verified that I've been into an accident, let's say a police report has signed it off, a hospital appointment has shown that my car has shown to be damaged, and the car garage has confirmed the cost, and my GPS on my phone confirms that I've been at that location. Bang, my insurance automatically pays out without me having to phone anyone. The same you could do with sort of renting a home and rental contracts there, and automatically putting again money in some sort of escrow service and the deposit there for the home, and once I leave the home and it's been signed off, the landlord can automatically say, yes, this tenant, the house has been in a good condition, and the escrow initially releases my deposit. So there's a lot of applications for this, anything from banking to insurance, and it's got a lot of very exciting applications that I'm real world applications that I'm generally very excited about. So let's have a quick look at what some of the strengths are, but there's also some weaknesses that I briefly want to explore. So let's carry out a brief analysis of smart contracts. So the strengths are major cost savings. If you have ever had a legal dispute and had to get any lawyers involved in that, you know how expensive this is. Really, smart contracts remove the middlemen / third parties, and in doing so, they remove a lot of costs. Obviously, it's very speedy, rather than me having to go through a very lengthy legal process and involve lawyers. Smart contracts can execute immediately once conditions have been met. There is a clear transparency. There's an audit trail of things that have happened and how it's sort of triggered. And you can start looking at new services, multi-signature applications and agreements. So let's say if multiple people put money in to buy a, let's say, property, you can look at multi-signature applications, and once all signatories have agreed, bang, the agreement has been signed. So there's a lot of exciting applications for smart contracts, but there are obviously a few weaknesses. This is a legal grey area, and how do you enforce smart contracts, and more importantly, how do you claw it back if something goes wrong? If we think about smart contracts being international agreements, and I could agree something with somebody in a completely different jurisdiction, what does that mean if my smart contract executed and for whatever reason that wasn't right? Maybe I didn't read the terms right or whatever, but how do we enforce any sort of legal comeback? The other part is that smart contracts are written in code. So it may be very difficult to determine and enforce the agreement, particularly for layman terms. Like it might be very hard to understand what that code means for non-coders like myself. We could be tied in. So we might agree to something when, let's say, we're younger, 18, 19, and we tie ourselves in for a very long time, and that might not be desirable 10, 15 years later. What does that mean if we're tied into a smart contract? Could we have signed our life away at a very young age? Do we understand what is agreed in the contract? Specifically, going back to the previous point, since smart contracts are written in code, are we fully aware of what we agree to or not? Could we have been missold? And then this sort of leads on to the final point of vulnerable customers. So let's say I'm vulnerable. I'm not of sound of mind when I signed the agreement for whatever reason that might be. I then could have tied myself into a long-term agreement, which is not desirable for me. And because it's a smart contract, I might have no way of unwinding that. So there are quite a few questions. But needless to say, for me, there is a very exciting area of smart contracts. There are significant cost savings. The removal of middleman and the speed is such a big point for me that I think actually that there's so many applications here that it's very exciting to think what is possible. So finally, most smart contracts are written in Ethereum, which was specifically designed for smart contracts, if I'm not right, but Ethereum is the market leader in the application of smart contracts. So yes, it's very interesting to know that. If you are looking at smart contracts, Ethereum probably would be your first sort of bet. That, in a nutshell, is a roundup of smart contracts. I hope I've given you good enough value and a good overview of what smart contracts are. Please leave a comment if I've missed anything, or if you think that I should have addressed anything. Yeah, if I missed anything, please let me know. Now, I'm keen to continue this channel and update you on the latest developments in cryptocurrency and investigate technical terms like this. So if this was useful, please like my page, leave a comment, or even better, subscribe to the page.